there, comic book friends, I'm Travis, and it's time for the edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. How's it going, everybody? Pretty decent week for me. I'm going to start this whole thing off by basically, part of this is a response to Brandon Mackhammer has a video out where he's just shooting the breeze about comic books and whatnot, and one of the things he was talking about is his pull list and determining what's going to stay on his pull list, what's going off his pull list, and he basically wanted to know how do other people determine what's on their pull, what's not on their pull, you know, that sort of thing. And clearly, I'm assuming for a lot of people out there, I mean, there's, at least for me, anyway, I guess I shouldn't say a lot of people, shouldn't think for others, there's a lot of factors that go into what's on my pull and what isn't on my pull and when I choose to get things off of it. And that sort of thing. I am in a position currently in my life that, I mean, I can't go crazy, but I don't have a definitive budget for comic books. I mean, I've got some kind of thing in the back of my head that says, okay, you can't keep buying all of this stuff, you know, kind of a thing. But I don't like to have a, you know, I don't set a kind of, I'm only getting so many books a week. One of the reasons I can't do that, I mean, there kind of was a time where I thought about trying to do that. Okay, I'm going to stick to X number of books each week. But that quickly goes out the door in the sense that, you know, if we're talking the big two, DC and Marvel, sometimes they don't hit their solicitation dates, so then those books drift over into another week. What am I supposed to do then? Do I drop something because it wasn't in that week? Or do I, you know, suck it up in there? And then with the way, pretty much has become the kind of the standard of the way Image does books anyway, is they will, you know, do 4, 5, 6 issues, kind of a trade worth. Then the creators take a break for, you know, 2 or 3 months, and then they come back, and they're not on a this is the week kind of a thing. So I'm not sure how I'd even logistically go about the process as far as doing it that way. Right now, really for me, the biggest factor is how much time do I have in a week, and I talk in a week because you know, typically for me, I want to get my books read so I can talk about them on the Comic Book Roundtable. That's kind of, you know, a lot of my stuff is geared around is being able to go on and have that weekly conversation with people about my comic books, because the people in my house that supposedly read comics are so far behind that I can't have a current conversation with them about comic books. So that's one of the reasons, which leads me to my other thing. I can only read so many books so quickly during a period of time and actually enjoy the books to their fullest and get the most out of those comics that I can. And I feel like if I reach a point where my pull gets so big that I am breezing through books or skimming through books in a race to get them done, then I got too many books, and I'm right at that precipice right now. Now, I could completely change that if I wanted to, if I didn't want to have most of my books read to talk about on Comic Book Table, if I feel like it. Not that I do, but I do get most of them read. You know, I clearly can spread them out throughout the week, but I have other stuff going on during the week, and and not that I can't, you know, fit a comic book here or there, but I like to sit down. I've learned to be able to sit down and read comic books, not just sit down and read one comic book and I'm done and I go off and do whatever. I mean, I do that if that's, you know, how I need to get finished whatever I'm reading or whatnot, and I do that with trades. Clearly, I don't sit down and read a trade all in one setting. Yeah, I read some of it, set it down, pick it back up, read it again and whatnot. More, you know, in a casual sense. But I like to be able to sit down when I get my comics and spend some good hours reading all of my books. So for me, the biggest thing right now that limits my pull is, realistically, can I keep adding books if I'm not losing books somewhere? Because I'm pushing 20 plus books a week most weeks. This week I'm only getting 16. which used to be kind of the norm heavyish kind of a week for me. And now that's a light week. So yeah, I'm there. And of course, with DC Rebirth coming along very soon, and the double shipping and that sort of stuff, and I'm gonna get everything to start out with, pretty much. Not because I necessarily am like gung-ho to read everything, but Discount Comic Book Service has a good enough deal that to not take the bundled package of all the new Rebirth stuff all together, it's like leaving free comics behind. It is basically the equivalent. If I get the amount of books that I know I want for sure, versus and pay the higher price for them versus buying the package deal, I'm pretty much within, I don't know, 50 cents or less, leaving free comic books sitting behind by not taking the deal at this point. So I'm taking the deal. It just doesn't make sense not to. So that's going to up my reading tick, I would guess. I haven't really sat down to do the math of, okay, I'm losing these titles. There's no more, Catwoman. There's no more, some of the other titles that are disappearing. There's no more Illuminati, stuff I used to get. As that disappears and being replaced by these, double shipping books, some of it's going to balance out, but I don't know how much of it's really going to balance out. I just heard that another one of the indie comics that I'm reading is going to be ending soonish. I didn't actually hear a number of what number it is, but the creators were commenting on the fact that it's in the can. The last issue's in the can. So, yeah, so like I said, I haven't figured out what that is, what that balance is going to be yet, but I'm going to kind of work on it there. To some degree, I know I can't buy or read everything, so I kind of have that in mind also. And with the big two anyway, I let what's going on at the big two dictate what I'm going to get or not going to get. In the case of the Rebirth thing and the like I talked about, I'm getting a whole bunch of that stuff because of the price factor in there with all this new stuff. And on the Marvel side of it, with the Civil War stuff, which I have no intention of getting Civil War stuff, I'm rarely happy with an event in and of itself. So I'm not getting that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. And then after listening to Brandon's video, which you guys should all go check out, him talk about the first issue is $6 and the second issue is $5. Just those two books alone being $11. That would have me out on top of that. Like I said, go watch his video. His breakdown of that versus how many DC books you can get is pretty outstanding, really. But at any rate, so Civil War is dictating a lot of what I'm going to read or not going to read from Marvel going forward. I have no interest in reading Civil War. Civil War is going to pollute quite a few of the books I'm reading, and the ones that I'm kind of like, they're okay, or I'm kind of interested in the characters and it's okay, are going to go. I'm not going to keep getting them if 3 or 4 issues worth of it's going to spill into the Civil War stuff. I'll probably end up dropping the Ultimates. I like all the characters that are in it. Story's been, okay. It hasn't been exceptional, but it's been okay. Something that I would normally kind of keep picking up if it's just kind of okay and I'm interested in the characters. But it's going to get meshed into the Civil War stuff. It's already started. So I'm going to be done with it. Spider-Woman I've been loving a whole bunch. So I am going to suffer through the tie-ins to Civil War that are going to happen for that. And I'll keep suffering with it until the creators aren't on the book anymore and something else happens with it, or it ultimately gets canceled because it's not one of the bigger sale kind of a books and whatnot. I'll keep getting Ms. Marvel. It's just been great, so I'll keep picking that up. But anything that gets tainted too much for Civil War, I'm just going to be, I'm going to be done with. Ant-Man, those kinds of things. I'll quit reading them. So that action is going to help cull my my pull list, and I know that my DC pull list will get culled very quickly once the Discount Comic Book Service deals are done. That's gonna dictate out. So then it comes down to now all the independent books, which I get a lot. I get more independent books clearly now than I do of the big two, even put together. The big two versus the independent books. There's now. So now it becomes a matter of with my independent books, the ones that I already have established that I'm reading them. Those aren't going anywhere. I enjoy them way too much, or I wouldn't be collecting them as long as I have. Then the other one is with the new stuff coming. Where am I at with that? That part of it, and a lot of it comes down to either if it's done by creators who I love. Generally, it doesn't matter what the concept is. I'm going to pick it up. If it's a Greg Rucka book, I'm gonna get it. Right now, Rick Remender is doing no wrong for me. All of his books I'm really enjoying. So when a new one of those comes out, I'm gonna pick it up. If it's people that I do not know who they are and whatnot, then it's gonna come down to what kind of vibe do I get off of the book when I initially read it. If it's done by creators who I have a hot and cold with, that puts them in the kind of I don't know category. And then what is it about? What's the hook? What's the interest in there? That sort of thing. And it's kind of what strikes my fancy. Because as I'm going and ordering my comics, I am telling myself I cannot get everything. I clearly cannot get everything. And especially in a month, if I'm picking up some new number ones. I can't get all of the number ones, so I kind of have to go, okay, I don't know, I don't have a number, but there's something in the back of my head that starts ticking and going, nope, we're not picking them all up. This week there is I'm pretty sure it's Image book, or is it Dark Horse? Can't remember. May, a book titled May, M-A-E. I'm assuming it's the character's name is May. It did not interest me at the time I was reading it when I ordered it. When I was ordering comics, so I chose not to get it versus I'm getting the William Gibson book because it's William Gibson. Basically one of the forefathers of cyberpunk. I enjoy that era. That came out in my youth, and so I'm interested to see what he might do in a comic book. So I chose to pick that one up instead. To some degree, it's largely preference as far as that goes. Some things go on my pull list, even if I'm not like super excited about them, as thinking, ooh, this is the book for me. Sometimes I put stuff on my pull list because I'm just merely curious as to what it's going to be, how it's going to be executed, what's going on with it, that sort of a thing too. There are books that I read, Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat. I don't know if that book rocks my socks off, but I'm just kind of curious to see it's different and it's trying to put out a different product from one of the big two. So I kind of hang on to those. I do support some books, even when they're not my favorites, because maybe I don't think, they're not my book. They're not designed for me, so I get that and I take that into consideration. But maybe I think they're still a good book. There's nothing wrong with the book as far as, how it's executed and whatnot. And so those books sometimes hang on my pull longer than what maybe they would otherwise. But some of those books are going to start going away now. I did, before Batgirl actually ended, this latest run of Batgirl, before it actually ended, I did drop it because it just wasn't quite appealing to me anywhere along the way. It's not a book geared towards me in particular, which is fine. Needs to be plenty of books out there that aren't geared towards me. And I had been reading it out of interest as to what they were attempting to do, how they were executing it, what they were trying to say. There's just a lot of other interesting, intriguing things about it, and I was willing to spend the money on that for a while. But as my pull has gotten larger and larger, some of those books are disappearing, and that's one of them that's going to disappear. Patsy Walker is another one that might be there at some point too. I feel like I'm talking in circles and not really clearly stating anything because I don't have an honest to God guide as far as what I'm doing or not doing. I just know the things that affect one way or the other, kind of a thing. And speaking of new comic that I will be picking up, I think it's going to come out in August. I guess it's in the August solicitations. And from Aftershock Comics, if you haven't tried out any Aftershock Comics, I suggest you do. There are some good ones out there. Marguerite Bennett is going to be putting out another independent book through Aftershock Comics. It's called Animalation, something like that. Basically, the premise, it sounds totally, absolutely bugwomp, and I'm clearly going to get it. It basically, animals gain sentience. First thing that happens, animals gain sentience. So all animal kingdom can talk and are smart. Clearly, some of them are smarter than people and whatnot. And so you have this crazy situation of this sudden turmoil. Your pets are talking to you or whatnot. The killer whales in the killer whale in the water park confesses its love to its trainer. There's anarchy in the United States. The wars go on. There's food shortages because suddenly, our food sources, talk, chat, and everything else under the sun. And so all kinds of chaos erupts. There's skirmishes, almost war. It sounds like. We get this little girl. She has her dog. Her dog, has also confessed love to her. They love each other, kind of a thing. And then the story advances like a year, and it's a dystopia now. Things have been thrown into chaos enough. There's wars going on and stuff. And there's this dog and this young girl. The dog has now become basically an adult. The dog is now more like a loving father figure. The girl's parents have died. They've been killed in some fashion. And her only relative that's left, she has an older brother, an estranged older brother who lives on the West Coast. They are on the East Coast. And the dog wants to get his girl to the brother before he passes. And leaves her abandoned. And so that's kind of the story, is going to be that kind of journey. So I think we're going to get, it's supposed to be a black comedy. It's supposed to be horror. It's supposed to be dystopia. And I'm betting it's also going to, pull on the old heartstrings when it comes to animals and when it comes to kind of this dog who's a father type figure, with the potential daughter type figure. All that kind of stuff's going to be in there. Sounds absolutely amazing. If it's executed anything like Marguerite Bennett talked about it on Twitter, it's going to be absolutely cool. So I'll definitely be picking that up. So there's more comics I'm adding to my poll, as I keep talking about the fact I don't know that I need to cut my poll, but I certainly can't let it get bigger. I got to manage something somewhere. So. And I've probably yammered about this for long enough. Anything else going on? I don't think so. Comic Book Roundtable this week. Jump on if you want to. Should be some fun. I think I'm going to have a few people make it. Be more than just me and Mike this week, I think. That's the plan. That's the plan anyway. Supposedly Jen's going to come back and talk comic books with us again this week. Brandon has mentioned that maybe he can make it too. So, yeah. Anyway, that's Comic Book Roundtables, 6:30 Pacific and 9:30 Eastern Time. Of course, we never, as I always say, the caveat is we never really start at that time. That's just the time that I say, and then some point after that we actually get started when everybody gets showed up and is ready to go. Because we're not professionals. We're just friends that are just hanging out talking comics. That said, if there was anything else important I need to discuss, it can wait until Comic Book Roundtable or some other time. Thanks for watching, and if you're catching this first, I will hopefully put a link down in the description. Go check out Brandon's video. He's kind of starting a new kind of a vlogging kind of a thing too, like this, talking comics, which is awesome, because you can always have more people to talk comic books with. Anyway, check him out too. Have a great one, everybody.